Hello and welcome back to Jarvis Johnson Gold, the premium channel that is free. It is free, but if you're watching this, you're premium. Time, that was 1.02 seconds between me saying if you're watching this, pause your premium. Just running a little prediction market gamble here. If you bet the over on that, you could win $1 billion. Today I wanted to talk about gambling because I can't get away from it. I feel like I'm being surrounded by gambling. It is everywhere I look. Gambling isn't something that like I do a lot of other than collecting Pokemon cards, which arguably is a form of gambling. I watch a lot of sports, not to brag. I feel like every commercial break, there's a number of sports gambling ads at stadiums. There's ads for DraftKings and FanDuel. Every sports YouTuber I watch has to be sponsored by these apps because those are the main people buying ads in the space, I guess. And sports gambling has been creeping into the mainstream for years, but another direction I feel attacked by gambling is in the content space. You know, like I feel like it was only a few short years ago when kick.com didn't exist. And now not only does it, but it's bankrolled by stake.com, which is like a crypto gambling casino that bankrolls Kick. Drake, the musician, rose from the ashes of being incinerated alive by Kendrick Lamar, partnered with Stake to just be posting about gambling all the time. And now Drake and Aiden Ross and stake.com are caught up in a RICO case about gambling. What is going on? There was an FBI raid on like an NBA coach. They uncovered a secret underground gambling ring where people are using X-ray poker tables and special glasses. This is an image of a modified card shuffler where they built custom software to stack the deck for a gambling scheme. And when I wanted to learn more about that, I went on ESPN, and right as they're talking about it, there's an ESPN Bet Sportsbook link in the banner on the bottom of the screen that someone just removes right while they're talking about it because they realize how bad of a look it is.
You hear a lot about legal sports gambling on this show. The Bussin' Boys, obviously sports gambling is a huge part of what you do, so we put those all out there as a preamble because it might be in the back of people's minds, and we acknowledge that this is a different time and place.
I have so many questions. Who are the Bussin' Boys? Is mainly the question I have. Apparently, sports gambling is a big part of what they do. I'm unfortunately not familiar with their work, and I don't have time to learn about it. But this is crazy, right? Every celebrity that you've ever known has sold themselves out. Look, Kevin Hart, I understand, because he'll take any check. But LeBron, you were supposed to be the chosen one. Okay, so maybe I won't get my news from ESPN. That's fine. I'll just go to CNN. What's that? CNN strikes prediction data partnership with Kalshi, and Kalshi is a prediction market platform, which is a fancy way of saying gambling about a lot of stuff, but it's a loophole because it's not technically gambling. So that way you can do it in all the states that gambling isn't legal, which I'm surprised it took us this long to find that loophole. Now, CNN's deal with Kalshi is about the prediction data, but I have to imagine that Kalshi's name is going to show up somewhere in that. And if you go to the Kalshi homepage, would you look at that? It's a hockey game that I can invest in. I can invest in the future result of the hockey game. And if I'm correct in my investment, then I'm a bit of a Warren Buffett of myself. And if I lose, well, I just got to get back out there, you know, because I'm an investor and I'm not a gambler at all. But hey, it's not just sports, because we can also invest in the next US presidential election winner. Investing, remember that. These are prediction markets and we're investing in futures. Okay, we're not gambling. What the fuck is gambling? No one does that. But if I wanted to invest in a sporting future, investing, like for example, who's going to win the NBA championship, you could do that. And there's odds, and you can bet on the different betting lines. I mean, investment probabilities. And then that summary is outcome verified by the NBA. So you're simply investing in future outcomes. And so it's not gambling because they used a different word. But before we get into that, we have a brief word from today's sponsor, OLIPOP. Winter's here, and OLIPOP has put together 3 flavors to bring cheer to you during these cool winter months: vintage cola, ginger ale, and the new crisp apple. Ooh. 'Tis the season. I'm at the top of a cool mountain in a winter cabin, sitting next to a fireplace, okay? And for a limited time, these flavors come in 3 limited edition cans featuring the 3 cheer spreading Yetis. If you haven't met these guys before, they were introduced last year. This is Pip. Look at his little scar. If you haven't heard of OLIPOP, it's a delicious soda that is low sugar but packed with fiber, which helps with your digestive health. OLIPOP has lots of great flavors, including strawberry vanilla, Dr. Goodwin, orange squeeze, classic grape, many more. And that's not to mention OLIPOP and Pip. I get to enjoy all of the soda flavors of my youth and feel a little less guilty about it, which I love. OLIPOP is sold online, but also available in Target, Walmart, Whole Foods, and other major retailers. If you want to try OLIPOP, you can get 2 cans for the price of 1. You can try any flavor, but you could also try some of these new Yeti flavors. Just scan this QR code, put in your phone number, and you'll get a free can redeemable at major retailers. Thanks to OLIPOP for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video. Who are these genius investors? There's someone here that said, I bet on Oklahoma, and they didn't spell it right. They spelled it like oak the log. I bet on the Oklahoma, but didn't get paid out. And then a kind person reminded them that the NBA finals happen next year. So really, it's the top investing minds that are investing here on this platform. But Kalshi's not alone. The most popular prediction market is Polymarket. I'm sorry. Don Rowe Doctrine. Will the U.S. take control? Don Rowe Doctrine is something that Trump improvised when he was talking about the Monroe Doctrine. And he just thought to himself, hey, Mon kind of sounds like Don, which is me. Now it's on the front page of this prediction market. This is so, everything is awesome. Oh, that's so sick. You can even invest in what Zoran Mamdani will say during a speech. And he said New Jersey. If you bet on New Jersey, you got paid out.
The founder of Kalshi has said,
the long-term vision is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion. And I think if you do build a general purpose exchange that can resolve differences of opinions on anything, like the TAM is quite massive.
The TAM is quite massive. That stands for total addressable market, which is something I know from being a genius.
and I'll concede, on pure accuracy, probabilistic guessing can rival reasoning, especially if you're completely uninformed. But what kind of value system is reflected by a world where outcomes matter?
Hey, that's similar to what I was going to title this video.
Prediction markets love to call themselves collective intelligence engines.
Collective intelligence engine is a very funny term to me because I could use it to describe 100 people guessing how many jelly beans are in a jar. Wisdom of crowds. That's it.
In your average information diet, it feels insane to think that we're going to land on the group wisdom end of the spectrum and not the mob mentality one.
Hey, wisdom of the crowd. That's what I said. Now you're probably thinking, if I can bet on pretty much anything, invest about, could I invest in things that I have unique, privileged, proprietary knowledge about? Yeah. Early in December, there was a Polymarket trader who earned nearly $1 million by placing suspiciously accurate bets or investments on Google's 2025 year-end search rankings. Will Bianca Sensori be the #1 search person on Google this year? That's such a specific bet. This is someone who clearly knew the top Google search results and went 22 for 23 success rate on Google search predictions. That is absurd. Public blockchain data shows the wallet deposited $3 million into Polymarket last Friday and immediately began placing large bets. The same account previously won over $150,000 by correctly predicting the exact Gemini 3.0 Flash release date. There's gonna continue to be these random accounts that pop up out of nowhere, make a specific bet about a specific domain of expertise, and profit immensely at everyone else's loss. And normally there are regulations and laws to prevent things like this from happening. Not so in this case, as prediction markets are. I believe they're classified as like an investment thing, which is just legislated differently. And that was the first of many examples that I've seen of this, but most recently, a Polymarket user made more than $400,000 in profits betting on Maduro's capture on an investment made within 24 hours of the military action. And that's another thing that there probably was an insider on. And this is plausible because we know the New York Times and Washington Post had advanced knowledge of this military operation and chose not to share that information with the public due to national security concerns. And yet, that information was shared with the market, so to speak, in the form of someone extracting $400,000 of other people's money on their alleged or probable insider knowledge. And then the question is, should that even be something that we can bet on to begin with? There's also a tool called Polyglobe. If any of this other stuff isn't dystopian enough for you and you need more evil in your life, you can now visualize a active conflict map and have the associated Polymarket investment opportunities populated along the borders of, let's say, Russia-Ukraine conflict battles.
What is clear is that degenerate gamblers on Polymarket are making money off the conflict, betting on the outcomes of big and small battles between Ukraine and Russia.
This is 404 Media. They're like a really good journalistic outlet that I subscribe to.
Someone at ISW edited the maps to show that Russia had advanced through the intersection and taken control of it. After the market resolved, the red shading on the map vanished, suggesting someone at ISW with editing permissions on the map had tweaked it ahead of market resolving.
I think that sums up a lot of the problems here. It's like they're sourcing active conflict maps to do these bets, and I don't know the context of someone cashing out a bet or making an edit to the map, but it's not even something that they control. Obviously you can see the issues with something like that, because it's another opportunity and vector for insider trading. If someone within this map organization was acting was a rogue actor and using this to profit, or if they made a mistake like that, or if there was a hacker who used this opportunity, they like find access to something that they have and then like use this opportunity to tilt the scales in their favor. Like it doesn't matter, because now that we're betting on this stuff, there's going to be an incentive to make things happen. Like if there's going to be a streaker at the Super Bowl, it's like a thing that you can more or less control. Even if it's difficult to get around the security, you can make you can tilt the odds in your favor. And it's like using a weighted dice or something. There's nothing fair about this. And that's on top of the moral and ethical like questions around whether or not this stuff should be investable. But what do I know? I'm like a fucking guy, dude. I don't even know.
An anonymous user on the prediction market site Polymarket bet $32,000 that the Venezuelan president would be out of power by January 31st.
What I'm trying to say is if you have insider knowledge about some shit that's about to go down, fucking tell me, dude. I'm trying to make a bag. By the way, if you're in Gen Z and we're like, I don't feel like I'm going to have access to the housing market anytime soon, I have great news for you, because Polymarket has partnered to launch bets on housing prices. You can get in there. Oh, and Kalshi offers real estate related bets such as rent increases in San Francisco and New York. This is like the best stuff, by the way. Doesn't seeing stuff like this just make you feel like super optimistic about the world? Extra awesome alert. What's that? Year just ended. It's time for your freaking geopolitics wrapped, okay? This guy freaking netted out almost $1 million, got some huge wins in Israel and Saudi Arabia normalizing relations in 2025. Obviously had to call the Zoran Mamdani win, of course, and conservatives won majority in the Canadian election. What a dub. Dubs after dubs. Huge year for this investor. Dude, I hope some horrific shit happens in the future that you can profit on. That is so sick. Back in my day, to be a war profiteer, you had to freaking start a defense contracting company. You had to Lockheed Martin this shit. You know, you had to Northrop Grumman, okay? You had to Palantir. And now you can just go on a freaking website and click. No BlackRock of mine, my G. We used to have to go invade countries ourselves, extract the oil with our bare hands. Kids these days, they have it so easy, is what I would say if I was Henry Kissinger.
Should I just low-key copy trade this dude? His biggest win was $12 million though, which kind of makes me second guess it. And now his profit's only at $1,700,000. So is he really that good?
Dude, they only profited $1 million, so they're actually trash. No, but I know what he's saying. Weird moments from Polymarket investing influencer courses and advice. Somebody rolling up in a Bugatti and they're like, hey, you're probably wondering how I bought this Bugatti at 19. Let me tell you how to invest in Middle East conflicts. Gang, type war in the comments and that'll let me know that you're legit about investing. I'm upset that that's probably going to happen soon. Wait, Brain Blast, can I bet on that guy becoming a guy? Does anybody want to take that bet? Because I will rent a Bugatti. for a TikTok. I'm like Eminem in 2010. I'm not afraid.
I'm a full-time Polymarket trader, and a lot of people don't understand how you can make a full-time living on Polymarket.
I know I just described a guy that I said would soon exist. Anybody want to take that bet? Anybody want to grab that? I don't know if this guy counts as an influencer yet. And he's not in a Bugatti, okay? So jury's still out on that.
So Polymarket is just prediction markets, and a lot of people think prediction markets is gambling.
Because it is.
But it's not gambling. It's predicting based on news, based on information, and having an edge.
That is all that's like sport. It's like every sports gambler will tell you, well, no, if you really follow the sports, you can freaking Nostradamus that shit. I'm actually pretty even on my bets, but don't check. Don't check any of my bets because I'm actually in the hole and things aren't doing so hot. But I'm betting that my rent will go up. So if I profit, I might be able to pay my rent this week, actually.
Here's one market I'm in. Will Trump release Epstein files by?
I actually follow the news. It's actually not gambling because you're actually able to become educated on the subject. For example, I'm an expert in the Epstein files. And the thing is, when I watch the news, it tells me that Trump is going to release the Epstein files on December 18th. Judging by the fact that December 19th is after December 18th, I'll profit. So it is not gambling if you read the news.
Okay, well, are they going to release it? Well, look, every news article is saying that Trump's DOJ won't release the full...
This is the research. It's not gambling, actually. This is like me saying Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, because if you look at it, they actually have a guy who's won the Super Bowl before. And I also found a tweet where someone said their team is really good, and they're already eliminated. Well played.
Saying that Trump's DOJ won't release the full Epstein files on Friday, as required by legislation.
This was a joke, by the way. I was doing a bit. I cannot believe this is actual justification.
Any files get released today, then the market will resolve to yes, and there are going to be files released today. Just not all of them, but easy 10% gain.
Right, and the issue with this market is that some people have more information, and that's why it's insider trading, and that's why the people who will really profit on average are not the everyday person. It's just weird if your evidence is that they said they're going to do something, how many times have they said they're going to do something and then didn't do it? And then you take out a bet on that information. There are no sure things until something happens. So it's like, even if you're betting on something that seems like it's going to be a sure thing, there's always a chance that it doesn't. And that's why this is gambling. I think people act like gambling is just flipping like a coin and winning money on heads and losing money on tails. But there are professional sports bettors. There are professional gamblers. There are people who are able to win above the average person and actually make money and make lots of money doing it. The World Series of Poker. There are professional poker players who play a game that is played in casinos, but they play it so well that they're able to finance whole careers off of it. A lot of it's probability, it's like you don't win everything that you invest in, but it is still all gambling. And it is extremely dangerous to tell anyone to invest their money in a sure thing, because there is no such thing. That's why you have to be like a fiduciary to give like financial advice or whatever, because it's very dangerous to do this shit. And I just think that like there's so much misinformation out there. All it takes is the wrong person taking your advice and losing a lot of money. And then it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have taken such a big risk. But we know what gambling does to people's psyches. We know that it can be an addictive behavior. And we know why it's illegal for kids to do it, and why it's normally been regulated and restricted, and where and how it can happen. And when you've just turned everything into gambling and surrounded us from all sides and managed to cloak everything that looks and sounds like gambling, but actually it is a prediction market because we use different words. I don't know, man. It just feels dangerous. And that's not to say that you can't gamble responsibly, because that's not even what I'm getting at. That's like, I have no problem with like people gambling in Vegas, but like drinking alcohol or any other vice, you have to be wary of becoming dependent on that thing. And when you're surrounded by it, it just creates a much larger group of potential people who can be harmed by something like gambling under the guise that it's not gambling. And the people who stand to gain the most are these platforms the Kalshi founder, youngest female billionaire. Awesome. Congrats. No one's becoming a billionaire on Kalshi, I can tell you that much. Famously, if you're good at sports betting, they restrict the amount that you can bet on the app or just outright kick you off. So the odds are, if you have a friend who's doing sports gambling all the time, they're probably not that good at it, because if you're really good at it and you actually have an expected value higher than a certain threshold, then they're not going to let you continue betting on these apps. What is really happening is that people are so pinched. We're in such a weird, bad economic time for so many people that people feel like they need a crazy gamble or come up or lottery win or Mr. Beast championship or whatever to get ahead in life, and people are more and more willing to take these financial risks. There doesn't seem to be any other option. So if you've got like a 7-leg parlay that you put $20 into all the time, and if it hits you make a few $1,000s, you're going to lose all of those, but you're like, all I need is one. All I need is for one big hit, and then things are good for me. But it's a slippery slope. And obviously, if you do it responsibly, you can do it responsibly. These things shouldn't just be everywhere. I feel like it's irresponsible, but there's so much money in it. And then everyone's just like, oh, right, but there is a lot of money in it. So even billionaire LeBron James is like, whatever, I'll do the ad. Or like Kevin Hart, who's in every commercial that exists, is like, it's like, I don't think you need this. I think you're fine. But hey, I don't know your situation. This video is sponsored by DraftKings. That is why I personally don't take any gambling sponsorships, because I just think it's dangerous. And we've been offered lots of money from gambling sponsorships, and I have been privileged enough to not, be pinched in such a way that I feel like that's a necessity for me. But when I see small, sports creators doing sports gambling ads, I also don't fault them, because that entire space is drenched in sports gambling. So they already are, everyone who's watching a sports video has already seen 9 billion sports gambling ads. So it's a drop in the bucket, because when they watch that sport, they're going to be beat over the head with additional sports gambling. So I just think I'm just annoyed is mainly the thing. So have a good day.